everybody, this is Sabrina and I'm so excited that you're here and that we are going to do a full walkthrough of my reading journal for 2022. I absolutely love this project and it brings me so much joy to document my books, and I stuffed this A5 journal. The strap will close it, but it is definitely a chunky book that I just love. So let's dive right in and take a look at my reading journal. So I open up the journal with the year and of course the die cuts. I decided in 2022 that I would use clear sticker titles. That way I could do different fonts since I don't have a lot of the alphabet or number stamp selection. And that makes it easier. And I will leave a link for everything that I've used, and I will try to leave a link for everything in the description box. But go ahead and leave a comment if I missed anything and I will add it. Okay, so that is my intro page, and then I go into the year of books, and I absolutely love this page. I actually had to add a little something down at the bottom to add in the rest of the books because I read 120 books. No idea how that happened, but it was an amazing reading year, and I have this as a download for you so that way you can make your own year of books. And I just love how this really just like summarizes your whole year, and it helps you to see like how many great books you read and all the different genres that you read. It's just a fantastic way to kind of show off all your good reading. The next part is my shelfie. I had a scrapbooker's husband. He made this for me and I absolutely love it. It's very special to have in my journal. And then I just use Studio Calico stamps and Feed Your Craft stamps to stamp all my bookshelves. And instead of coloring them in like I had done in previous years, I went ahead and just filled in the title. And I actually had made another bookshelf, that way I could, if I read a lot, I would have extra room, and I definitely needed the extra room. And then this page is a filler page, and I liked having that there so that way the next spread could be a double page spread, which is the monthly faves. I used a old stamp set, Feed Your Craft, and the frames, and then I just added little like nails and stamped nails. This gallery wall was a lot of fun to create and include all the different books. Next up is Goodreads challenge, and I used Everyday Explorer stamps and some In a Creative Bubble die cuts. And I just did the circles for each month and put the number, and then filled in with the color for how many books I read in that particular month. Next up is the reading stats, where I did paper and Kindle. As you can see, I read many more paper books than Kindle. I also did genres with some tally marks and just tried my best. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but these weren't, I guess, the most important stats. But in my new journal, I have a different format of how I set up my genres. And I didn't bring back paper and Kindle. For A to Z challenge, I did really well. I just didn't get K and Q and X. So, not bad. That's actually probably my best A to Z challenge ever. Then we move into some more challenges, which is the year of smut or, romance books. And I did not finish any of these, but I did read a lot of different romance books. It is one of my favorite genres, so I just loved this challenge and enjoyed reading all the different types of romances. And so what I did here is I just added a little flip so that way you could see my rating and still see what the category is. And I did leave a spot for faves, but I never got around to filling them in. I suppose I could go back and die cut them, but that's okay. And then the next one is July, August, and September. I got a bingo right here. Got a bingo there. And then this is October, November, and December. And of course I read like other romances, but I just didn't pay attention to the challenge sometimes and read a book that may not have fit one of these. But love this challenge, and I'm doing it again for this year. Next up is the Bloom Challenge, which is run by Stephanie Howell, and she has a Facebook group. And I don't know if she's doing the challenge this year, which is fine because I can always go back to previous years and pick out some books that I want to do from that challenge from previous years. So that'll work because I do have a page in my 2023 journal to do some Bloom Challenge books. For last year, I wound up doing an amazing job. I think I did over half, so that was really awesome. So I love how that came together, and I had a lot of fun layering in the different stamps. Now we'll move into the monthly sections. So I started off with washi and the stamping, the number, and some more stamping. And then I think I got to February maybe, and I really wanted to add in the calendar because I just wanted to see how long it took me to read a book. And I managed to add those in, and I'm so glad that I found a way to add in these calendars. And then for the stats, I did the same stats page for the entire journal, just different colors and different stamps. So I'll have the washi up here, all the stats, and then these two kind of change. They're kind of the special categories. So for this one, I picked tearjerkers and romance. For genres, I just selected a few that I wanted to include and then added up the total number of pages. And I mostly used Everyday Explorer stamps for the boxes and these lines, and also the rating. And then my goal was to not only, do a stats page, but to also do a favorites page, like document a favorite book and do it kind of in a special way. So for January, I did You've Reached Sam and Reminders of Him. This is a Kindle book, so I was able to print the quote, and then I die cut some birds and also cherry blossoms. Both of those pieces went with the book theme. Next up is February, and again, the same format, just different colors and adding in all the flowers and the pinks and the reds. And then I have all the stats. I have paper, Kindle, for a challenge, and surprises. The surprises being books that I didn't think I was going to enjoy, but I actually wound up really enjoying. For favorites, I have this one, The Last Bookshop in London. I really, really enjoyed that, and I just really enjoy World War II historical fiction genre. I find it completely fascinating. And like I said in my review, the depths of human resilience and determination to keep going. So, fantastic genre and fantastic book. Next up was Pump 57, a young adult book that I really enjoyed. I thought the whole premise of the book was unique in that the characters had been pen pals and lived nearby each other, but had no idea who they were and never really wanted to meet until they had to, basically, without giving anything away. This book was a fantastic surprise. I hadn't remembered how I wound up getting this book from the library, but I got it, I read it, and I absolutely loved it, and it was a favorite for the year. I loved it. Next up is March, and I tried to get really colorful with this spread using Paper Person Shop stamps and washi. And I did the washi there, and then just added in all the color. It's definitely not my favorite month that I decorated, but it's done, and so that's what matters. All the stats, I went with a really spring feeling theme, and I used Everyday Explorer stamps and some different washi tape. I also did Couldn't Put Down and Ugly Crying. I think Ugly Crying was Meet Me in Paradise, because that looks like a cute contemporary romance, and it's certainly not. It is not. It had me bawling my eyes out. That is March. And then I documented Meet Me in Paradise, and I tried to make my own flowers like that. So I had a lot of fun creating a really tropical feeling for this book and just writing about it because this was such a special book. Next up is 2 more really fantastic books with love from London. Pulled out some scrapbooking supplies that I hadn't used and some stickers that I used for planning. So I really loved how this journal kind of, for me, like invited me to use my supplies in a different way. And I just had so much fun using my supplies in a different way, like the planner stickers and the scrapbook stickers. And I also played around with Google stickers more and finding peeing images and then making them my own. And I also found this from an Instagram. Let me see if I can zoom that in, but that is their name, and they did this drawing for the love hypothesis, and I wanted to have more quotes. And then down here, I wanted to add in some more thoughts to finish up my review. Next up is April, and I did purples and blacks and some flowers. I really love how this color scheme came together, and I had a fun new washi tape from Pip Sticks, so I used that. Added in some cobalt blue here, and then dragged on 2 books. Dragged on for me this one and that one, and then 3 for a Bloom challenge. And these are, again, Everyday Explorer stamps. I just love layering them together. This one was so much fun. I found a daisy flower and then used the Kindle quotes, and just, I love this book. This is another really, really fantastic book. So a lot of fun putting together this spread and kind of sprinkling the daisies, just like the book cover. This one, again, sometimes I get books from the library. I'm like, how did I find this book? How did I discover this book? That was this one. I don't remember how I discovered it. I think I was looking for a book set in the decade I grew up in, which was the 90s. And I stumbled on this and it sounded good. It's like a middle grade book, but you guys, it is so relatable, I think, all the way up into, you know, adulthood. It is just fantastic. And I found myself laughing and crying, and I just love this book. It's amazing. So grab that book and try it out. The other one that I really enjoyed was the Bright Side Running Club. It's a fantastic look at women, resilience, and their friendships. May is pinks and yellows and greens. 9 total books that I read. You can see throughout this journal I had a really bad yellow ink that's bleeding. So I've since gotten rid of that yellow ink. And I did some more flowers, and I read, like I said, a total of 9 books, which left me a nice little section to decorate over there. And then I did romance and weekend start. Because that's the other thing I loved about these calendars. It kind of shows me how, not only how long it takes to read a book, but it helped me to notice that I wound up starting a lot of books on the weekend. So I thought that was interesting. First up is In the Weeds. I love this series from B.K. Borison, Love Light Farms. It's just fantastic. It's just amazing. Just amazing. So I got a stencil to try something fancy, making my sunflowers, and then I added in stickers and I added in stamping. I just had a lot of fun making this spread. Just so much fun. This one was another fun one too, because I wasn't sure how I was going to decorate this, but I decided to do a stack of books in the colors that coordinate, or the colors that match with this cover, and that worked out fantastic. Absolutely love it. I found a stamp that had like scribbles, kind of like, because they're writers, so I used that. Hook, Line, and Sinker is a steamy romance, and it's number 2 in the series, and it had to do with being by the ocean and music, so I included that along with some quotes. This was a fantastic book, The Night Shift, set in the 90s and having to do with Blockbuster, so that was fun to read. Next up is June, and I did more of the bright, like summery colors, and I even did a girl sitting on the couch, and I read a total of 9. More bright colors and a really good month for reading. For a challenge, I read a lot of challenge books and then devoured a bunch. I think I devoured Part of Your World, Every Summer After, and I think Homewreckers. This one was an amazing, amazing book. I think it's extraordinary, and I could totally see it being a movie. Marcellus is a Pacific octopus, and he is a character, like a main character. And then there is also the night cleaner, Tova. And I don't want to give away too much, but this book is extraordinary, extraordinary. Like, look, this is what Marcellus said. Why can humans not use their millions of words to simply tell one another what they desire? Oh my goodness, this book was really special. Next up is Part of Your World. I really loved this book. It's about a big city girl and a small town guy coming together, and I just found a bed and breakfast and used some really old flowers, a Google image, and then a quote from a book reviewer. Every Summer After, I found an actual picture from Barry's Bay. So I used that, made a little rowing scene. This is a great book. July, I did kind of more clean and simple with the reds and blues. This is probably one of my favorite die cuts, and I could probably print it in every single color. I read a total of 11 books. July really is usually my best reading month out of the whole year, which is kind of interesting. I added my Goodreads number and also my favorites. This one was a lot of fun. Again, using Happy Planner stickers that I had just laying around and then making a word, and I just recreated the cover along the side. Penny Reed is definitely one of my favorite romance authors, and I just love this book, and I read it in so quick. This is another fantastic book, Black Cake, a family story, and just a story about sacrifice and strength, and the characters were amazing. I included a map of the Caribbean and the Western Islands, similar to where it took place, and also a picture of Black Cake. Another book that I stumbled on that I absolutely loved, I just think that this book is extraordinary. If you're going to read it, only read the synopsis or what they're going to tell you about, and that's it. Don't read anything else. And it's also really awesome. Like, I don't expect the authors to see my pages and say anything. So it's really exciting when they do say something, and this particular author was really, really kind and sweet. Not only did she say something, but she included the spread in one of her newsletters, and I was just really touched. I thought that was really wonderful of her to do. So I found some articles that related to this historical fiction book, and also some images from the different places that it took place. So I can't really tell you what it's about, but I think that you should read it. It's really good. August, I went with greens and grays. And then I have lots of different florals. And I put 3 for so-so romance and then 6 for challenge books. I found a new graphic novel series that was really horror-filled and scary, and I just loved it. Something is Killing the Children. And it was just a really gory series, but I'm very interested in it. Good Girl, Bad Blood. This is the second book in the series, and I really love the character Pip. Next up is the Viscount Who Loved Me. I made this graphic with free images that I found, and I made some watercolor flowers. September is all about fall, and I did lots of different leaves, and I read a total of 11 books. So it was a really, really good month. So I did 10 paper and 1 Kindle, 4 graphic novels, and 7 favorites. Like I said, really great month for reading, and a really high number of pages. So Lessons in Chemistry is another really fantastic book. I don't know why I didn't highlight. I must have forgot. But I had so many quotes that I actually kind of made a little book of them because I just love this book so much and there was so much to say. But yeah, I really, really think that this is a wonderful book. Everybody should read it. I even found a Google image about a chemistry set and some more beakers, and then I stamped a few pieces, and it's a great book. And then the best quote is, "Children set the table. Your mother needs a moment to herself." So true, right? A second book in a romance series called Reverse by Kate Stewart. And I used some leftover paper from Ali Edwards and a clear sticker stamp that I printed out. For this one, I tried some Tracy Reed die cuts for The Bodyguard and also The Unknown Beloved. October is, of course, all about the spooky. And I read 11 books, and I actually wound up not reading that many spooky books because it took so long to get into my library, like a lot of the ones that I ordered. So I wound up reading spooky books kind of in this month and then definitely in November. So I did 4 spooky reads, and 98 is where I was at for my Goodreads. And then I loved using this Studio Calico stamp with the pumpkins and bats. First up is The Girl Who Drank the Moon. It's a middle grade book. My daughter recommended it, and it was just fantastic. You could really like imagine yourself there. Very atmospheric book. And then 2 romances that I enjoyed. This one is more of a, I forget what the actual name is, but it's like a taboo, off-limits type of romance, but there's a lot of grief and complications. And this one's much more of a steamy, very steamy romance. This is the spooky book that I read that was a middle grade book that I think is really fantastic. I could actually see it being a show. It was just very good. And I used a scrapbooking kit from the Cut Shop. November is up next. I did more of the warm fall colors and a paper person shop, and I had fun coloring in the little stamps right there. And then all the stats, I had 10 books this month, 4 that surprised me, and 3 that were kind of weird. So I read Sharp Teeth, that was really weird, and Clackety was kind of weird. And then this one is called the Saturday Night Ghost Club, but it's nothing to do really with ghost or Halloween or anything. I would say I would read this during the summer or whenever you want, because it has more to do with set in the summer and much more to do with family and grief. So Belladonna was absolutely amazing, and it was a gothic thriller romance. Just amazing. Can't say too much about it because you just got to go into it reading the synopsis and then find out. But there's another book coming out, and I cannot wait. Wrong Place, Wrong Time was a very interesting thriller, and I really enjoyed it. Nature of Witches was a take on environmental change. The Canyon's Edge is probably in the top 5 books for the entire year. Absolutely loved it. My daughter recommended it, so I found an image of a canyon, and then I just did it in big sticker paper and flipped it up and used Syncopation Designs anxiety mental health stamps, and then just had so much fun with this amazing book. It's a really special book, and I think many kids would benefit from reading about it because it has to do with, you know, grief and anxiety and dealing with your mental health as a child, especially a child who's gone through something traumatic. But I think adults would really enjoy this book as well. All right, December, here we go. I got Syncopation Design stamps, and I decorated with the little icons too in a Christmas themed stamp set. I did all the stats. I had 12 books I read a few graphic novels towards the end because that just makes it easier to read. I feel like I just want more graphic novels towards the end of the year because I'm so busy, but I want to keep reading. And then mixed signals, I just shared a process video for this the other day. I thought about doing another page for Very Merry Bromance and Saga, but I have not added those in. I suppose I could if I wanted to, but otherwise, I'm done. I am done with my reading journal, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this detailed walkthrough. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.